What's good, guys? Checking back in for part 2 of the epoxy process. Last episode obviously went over how from mixing to the type of epoxy to how long it takes to set, the way to set it up for when the pour is happening. So obviously it's been a little over 24 hours to let this piece dry. We'll walk through it right now so you can see what happens as it sits wherever you place it after the 24 hours. But for the second part, it's gonna be the cleanup. So what you will need for the cleanup phase, which is part 2, is a sander, 80 grit, you're gonna need a drill, 3/16 bit. You're also gonna need some towels. You're gonna need this. All right, let's check out the project. All right, so here it is. You can see it's a little dusty, don't worry. It's not in the actual, that's just surface dust from the shop. But if you look right here, you can start seeing where I was explaining that it would stick to the surfaces. It's wherever you have it. So trying to eliminate as much surface grab is always the best. So pretty much what we're gonna do here is break these pieces off. Really whatever way is easier for you is, you know, you can figure that out, but you can take a hammer, you can just break it off. Check it out. Yeah. So here's where we're at. It's stuck. Oh, that was easy. Sometimes it's hard as shit, but I didn't have a lot of surface grab, so we'll do it again. But oh, let's take this one. Now, next part. This is the container we let everything drip into. We're gonna use these towels to put down because we're about to sand the drips, which I'll show you. We're gonna sand the drips off the back part of the board. And you wanna have something down on the surface just so you don't scratch it, well, as least as possible. Set it like that. You can see this. All those are drip marks. I mean, some people like them, some people don't. I prefer to leave it clean. So we'll use the 80 grit sandpaper and the sander to cut all these down. When you're doing this, you want to make sure that the motion is straight up and down. You don't want to go off to the side or anything. So yeah, you want to make sure you go slow with this, because if you go too fast, the heat of the bit can start burning the epoxy as well, and you might get a little bit of deformation on the bottom side where the paint comes through. So hopefully I don't do that this time. We'll go slow. So if you look at that, perfect cut. No type of pop outs of the epoxy or anything. Also, that's just because we've had this sitting for over 24 hours. If you're gonna drill holes out, you're gonna wanna make sure that it's the dry time's over 24 hours for sure. Probably around 2 days just to be safe, because sometimes when you're heating it up with this, it'll bubble out the epoxy and you're not gonna get a clean finish. So let me hit the rest of these and then we'll, next step. Last one. Clear. Clear. Now we got our holes. Perfect. We can wipe this off. I mean, you could use water. Water and a rag works perfect. But you can also, because of the surface that the epoxy makes, you can also use like boat polish, car wax. You don't want to use a whole shitload of it, but definitely there's different options you can use to clean your piece. And it does help it shine it a little bit more. But water and wet rag and a dry towel do the trick just as good. Let's see. There you have it. You can see the reflection. Don't forget the bag. Now drop off.